Jordan, what I want to do is before I talk about the next passive stream of income, I want to talk about how BoomCloud directly affects valuations of a practice. Could I do that, or a subscription plan?
Yeah, okay. Let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay. So, mentor. Okay. So, one stream of income I'm going to talk about leverages off of these older dentists who have not started practicing again after COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to talk about creating passive income with that. But first, I'm going to talk about how a subscription plan like BoomCloud, that of course utilizes a software to manage that, how a subscription plan affects your valuation in your practice. Okay, here we go. So let's say your practice right now does $1 million a year. Okay, it does $1 million a year. The average dental practice is worth about 72% of last year's gross revenue, right? So $720,000 is what your dental practice is worth. But dental practices, because of this DSO component today, a lot of them are valued at a multiple of EBITDA. Sometimes 6 times EBITDA. Okay, EBITDA is basically the profit margin in the practice after the doctor gets a modest salary. And so one cool thing about subscription plan revenue, every dollar that comes in is counted as EBITDA. So what's cool about that is your subscription plan revenue is not subject to the traditional way that you value practices. Subscription plan revenue, every dollar that comes in on your savings plan goes directly to EBITDA, which is how we've been transitioning into valuing dental practices. So isn't that cool, Jordan, how that works?
Yeah. So the first one you said, the 72 cents or the $720,000. Typically $1 million practice is worth that much. That's called the discounted cash flow valuation. Is
yes
what I've been told. And then the what you're with the 6x there, that's a multiplier valuation, and that's you want to be in a multiplier valuation with anything that you do, because it's going to make you more money.
Yes,
simple.
Yes. And here's one more thing, Jordan, and it ties into our next topic. Usually, as you add another location and maybe another and have 3 locations, you transition from valuing your practices from this discounted cash flow methodology to a multiple, right? Like Heartland and all these big groups sell for a multiple. So what's cool is this: if you get ahead of the curve and get subscription revenue coming in your practice, and then you multiply that in other practices, if your EBITDA number is way higher and you're getting an 8x or a 10x multiplier, now you've double whammied it. You've taken that subscription revenue and you've got a higher multiple as you grow. So it can mean not just hundreds of millions of dollars, but hundreds of thousands of dollars, but millions of dollars in the future in value, by starting early. Right. So
there's a quote from there's a book that I recommend everyone here read, Brady. It's called The Automatic Customer. It's building recurring revenue in any business, and it's written by John Warlow. I can put I'll find a link here in a minute.
Okay.
I highly recommend getting that book because it talks about everything we're talking about here in regards to valuations and how recurring revenue through a membership plan in this case, how that increases the value of a business, of a dental practice. I think John Warlow says the recurring revenue can be valued between 24 times the monthly recurring revenue up to, I think it might be 40 times. I do have a slide on that. So it's like 24 times the MRR, so monthly recurring revenue. So if you had like $45,000 in monthly recurring revenue, it can technically be valued at a little over $1 million to 2.4 million roughly is kind of what I've seen according to this book here. So automatic customer, go grab that book. It's if you like what you're hearing now, you'll love that book.
You make a good point, Jordan. Not only just from the most empirical sense does recurring revenue increase that, But in reality, if you're going to value that as almost a separate asset class, which you
Yeah,
should,
you
right?
should.
Which you should, and
Yep.
your accountant should, or your valuation expert should,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
then you're going nuts, right? With
Yeah.
that, right?
Uh-huh.
And just to say it even more simply, folks, with your dental practice, when you cut that crown, you do that crown, you're doing it once and it's done, right? That's how we value it, either with the discounted cash flow methodology or the multiple. But with that recurring revenue, right, they know it's there every month, and so it minimizes their risk,
It
right?
does. Yep.
It minimizes their risk. That's why they pay such a high
Premium.
multiple for that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it, any business owner, or if a DSO is buying your practice, let's say, they want, I mean, technically they're buying it so they can make it a multiplier. That's why most corporate dental offices buy discounted cash flow in offices, because they know that they could turn it into a multiplier. But if you think about it, if you think of real estate, you were talking about real estate earlier. um, the beautiful thing about real estate is you get monthly cash flow coming in, so recurring passive income, plus the increase of valuation of that building, right? Over time, typically real estate goes up, and at least as long as I've been alive, it's just kept going up and up, right? With some dips every once in a while, but it still goes up nonetheless. So that's a very good financial model. Now, if you want to do this to your practice, you need to build a recurring revenue cycle in the practice, so you get that predictable recurring revenue coming in, and then that over time that valuation increasing. So it's very similar to real estate once you get that.
I think what you're saying is huge, because when I first made the decision to put BoomCloud in my practices and to start a dental savings plan, I was just thinking about the monthly money coming in, right? That's
Sure.
what we
Yeah.
think, right? And with real estate investment, a lot of times we think of, yeah, the passive income. That's great. I can live off that.
Sure. Yeah.
But when it comes time to sell an asset and you
Hmm.
get a big check for $2 million, or right,
Or more.
that's or more, then that's a huge benefit. And then you take that money, okay, and put that into another asset or two or three that produce more passive income.
Yeah.
And so I love it. Okay, so all right, let's go to the next topic. This one